Vlog number 27, November 11th, 1708, day 11. So this video is going to be an extension of my previous video, Vlog number 26, in regards to feeling and how people use feeling to basically distract themselves from reality. It goes a bit deeper than that. It's not just the mind that is the issue here and denying reality. There is a spiritual element that is also prevalent, and a lot of people have essentially looked the other way. Part of it's because of their religious programming and essentially not being able to think for themselves. That's also due to what the media has done to them over the years. As they grow up, they just become entranced by the television and they just get used to being told what to think. And thus, critical thinking is definitely not a high priority. But there is a big spiritual element to this. It is a spiritual war in many respects. And that's one of the reasons why the heart intelligence was not designed by the education masters, if you want to call them that, to be of high priority, because it's the heart that can detect whether there is an external entity that is trying to manipulate the body or not. And I'm getting into demons here, in other invisible entities. So a lot of people are actually figuring this out by now. But yes, a lot of the feeling thing, many feelings that occur are not actually from us. They do not occur within us. They're actually given to us by other entities. And when you shut off the mind, when you shut off the rational, logical mind and have a small heart intelligence, it becomes very difficult to discern whether a feeling that is felt is actually from you or if it's actually from another entity. And it's just basically, it's a downward spiral. It's like dominoes. You hit the first domino, it just gets worse and worse. But once the mind shuts off and people start feeling feelings, they don't discern which feelings are theirs. They don't really understand that, oh, this feeling definitely comes from me, or this feeling just feels good. I'm going to follow it regardless if it comes from me or not. They're not thinking if it's from them or not at that point. They're just following it, which is not good because a lot of feelings are not even from them. So once thoughts from other entities are inserted into one's brain, and one chooses not to discern whether something is good or bad for them, or discern, what's going on with reality, because reality for them is just simply too crazy according to their programming that they obtained through previous years. Essentially, they start following just feelings, and they don't become aware that those feelings are leading them to a worse place. They're following a spiral that is perceived to be good because the feeling is good. But because they lack the discernment of their mind, it's actually leading into a bad place. It's like, from an outsider, it's like, watching somebody going downwards into hell, but they think it's the other way around. They're going up, is essentially what's going on. And a lot of things in this world that are evil feel good initially. And this is the big danger. So a lot of this stuff is, for instance, sexual abuse or domestic abuse, of course. Violence for the person committing the violence feels good. And, saying hateful things may feel good initially, but there is a evil presence. There's an evil agenda behind that, whether the people that are making these accusations are aware that or not. There's likely an evil entity, whether attached to them or not, that are making these things. And it's really a spiritual war, essentially. They're not aware of that just being an essential pawn in the game of spiritual warfare. So that's the thing with these demons. They feed off of people. They feed off of people's emotions. So the emotions that they like are fear the most. Fear and sex are the biggest two. So the ones, of course, that are crying and basically mining salt right now are the ones that are obsessed with horror and they're obsessed with sex. It's not a coincidence at all. These people are basically minds for these entities because they feel emotions of horror, and they feel the emotions that come with sex the most. And these people are basically just factories for these demons to feed off of. So when you've got a power or a force that threatens these factories of emotions, obviously they're going to run a temper tantrum because their heart intelligence is that of a 5-year-old. This is deliberate. So they run a temper tantrum and they become susceptible to receiving thoughts of other entities that would then work through them, and they act more evil than they really were to begin with. So this comes down to demonic possession. And it's a sad thing, because since they shut off their higher mind, they don't have the awareness capability of what they're actually doing. They just do it. They just allow these thoughts to express themselves, and essentially they have no awareness of what they're actually doing, because essentially the higher, I want to call higher, these entities are just basically just working through them at this point. And that's basically what it comes down to. And it's something that I wanted to say for a while now. It's kind of difficult because I had a previous video where I talked about demons, and this created a whole ruckus on YouTube where the video was flagged, it was removed, and then I appealed it, then it came back. So it was clearly a spiritual battle in that video. But because of what happened after the election, I felt I had to make this video in particular as an extension to my previous one to help explain what is going on with these salt miners. And it's just, they're not aware of what's going on, and I'm trying to help them become aware of the fact that there are possibly demons that are being channeled through them. They're giving them their thoughts, and they are expressing their thoughts without being aware of the fact that those thoughts are not theirs. Those thoughts are not theirs at all. These people are trying to be used by these demonic entities for their own benefit, because the demons want to control the world narrative. And people who know the past history of this planet know how repressed this planet has been. Maybe that'll be a topic of another video, but this planet has been repressed by evil forces for a long time. They don't want to lose control, and they're trying to find people who are essentially open to being manipulated by their thoughts, because they may not have the appropriate wisdom to discern whether their feelings or their thoughts are theirs or not. And essentially they just become their foot soldiers. So it's important to point this out. Yes, it's a spiritual war. Yes, you've got to understand and learn what your own feelings are and what your own thoughts are. So one trick is just dispel all the hate you feel, dispel all the conflict that you feel, just let it all go and say, where are my own thoughts? Where are my own feelings? And I'm talking about feelings here. It's got to come right from your chest. You're not talking about your head here. You're talking about your chest. Okay, so that's where it comes from. Now you got to say to yourself, what does my heart want right now? What does it want right now? Not what my mind wants. What does my heart want right now? Just ignore all the thoughts that may come to the head. What does the heart want right now? Just let it all go. Say, okay, so this is a negative thought form complex that is trying to entrap me, and I'm better than that. I'm better than that. I am a sovereign soul, sovereign human being. I am not to be controlled by evil forces, and I am better than that. So what does my heart want right now? And from there, it's going to be different for everybody, because everyone's heart is different. But that is the start of being aware of which feelings and which thoughts are yours or not. A lot of these thoughts act like viruses in the mind, because it's like a lot of the hatred is just passed on through thought forms. So it becomes a learning experience as to figuring out which thought form is really yours or not. It's just that's the real virus right there, is those hateful thought forms, those lustful thought forms are the real viruses in your head. And those are the viruses that you need to get out of your head if you want to maintain sovereignty in your internal kingdom of yourself. That's really what it's about. You run your own inner kingdom. You're the one that has to get rid of the viruses, because, hey, you're the king and queen, so-called king and queen, if you want to say that. So there's the real virus. You got a virus in your kingdom? Well, get rid of it. That's your responsibility. So there you go. I want to make this video as an extension of the previous one because the previous one I felt got into the physical aspects but did not get into the spiritual aspects, and I thought the spiritual was far more important because that's what lasts after the body dies. So that's technically more important than the physical aspects, even though the physical are more easily understandable. So yes, I hope this helps the salt miners to realize they don't have to mine for salt at all. They can just put their tools down and walk right out, back into the open air and say, what was I doing? What am I doing? Because I don't think a lot of people know what they're doing. So maybe this video will help them on their path as to figuring out what they're actually doing and what they really want. Because I doubt they really want these hateful thought forms and this duality concept that apparently has been running their lives for far too long. So maybe looking into non-duality philosophy is a good step to that, becoming aware that, hey, perhaps there was a non-duality that caused this illusion of duality to manifest in the first place. Because with duality, you've got the spiritual orientation, service to others, service to self. You got black and white. You've got dark and light. You've got all this duality that basically helps to keep the illusion in shape, which is the whole point, and helps basically expedite our own spiritual evolution, which is the whole point. It's not so much an endless back and forth. It's what the illusion does, but eventually it's overcoming that back and forth and recognizing the non-duality that created the duality in the first place. And I think a lot of people are finally coming to this realization. So, how both dualities are essential to making this reality run. They're not meant to destroy each other. They're meant to help the soul in its evolution. It's like an expediter to the soul's evolution, basically. So I hope this video helped you. Yeah, it's not a pretty topic to talk about because people have their own preconceived notions of what their spiritual reality is like. But I had to basically just get my mind off, get my mind and just speak my mind, speak what my heart's telling me, and that's what I did. So, okay, well, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.